Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. So I've connected up, amazingly enough, with a pilot in the Ukrainian Air Force. I want to introduce you tonight to Moonfish. He's a squadron commander. He's a MiG-29 pilot. He studied at the Aviation Leadership program in the United States from 2016 to 2017. He is a highly professional fighting pilot, and he's got a technical knowledge of both flying and of English. Moonfish, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
You're somewhere in the Ukraine, but you don't want to tell us exactly where.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what it is you've been doing. You've been flying and doing what?
So I'm as being a fighter pilot. Me and my fellow pilots, we're conducting air-to-air missions. We are. The reason why we have succeeded so far at the majority of Ukrainian airspace is by combining efforts of fighter pilots, fighters, and surface-to-air missile SAMs. So far, we are flying freely in our territory. The exception is some zones that are being captured. That are captured by Russians, and of course they have pulled in lots of SAMs, and that really in this era we cannot really operate freely.
And tell me, what are your missions? Are they to scare off, chase away the bombers, or are you going after convoys, or what?
I would say right now mostly yes. We are trying to scare away bombers and attack aircraft, frogfoots, and stuff.
And how successful do you think the Ukrainian forces?
Of course, those who dare to fly on our territory, because we also have SAMs, man-pads, and everything else.
How successful do you think the Ukrainian Air Force has been in that regard?
I think if you look at how outnumbered we are, I think so far we've been doing a good job. Of course, now that this war is certain it will not be over soon. The fighter jets, new SAMs, are crucial to us, so that we can keep air situation in Ukraine like it is right now, or when we will start like the counter offense against those parts, to take back those parts of Ukraine.
And do you think that's a possibility, that there'll be a counteroffense?
I'm not like high-ranked military official to tell you that, but we want our territories back. We want to free our people. That is for sure.
Now, you're a squadron commander, I understand. What does a squadron commander command?
A squadron of fighter jets.
How big is the squadron?
It could be up to 12, 18 jets.
And you're flying out of airports, military airports in Ukraine, I presume?
Yes, of course.
Now, we've heard that there's been a reasonable amount of damage of Ukrainian Air Force airports. Have you had to change what airports you're flying out of?
Oh yeah, we do it a lot. We have to do that a lot, so that we can keep our jets safe and ourselves safe.
Okay. Has there been a lot of loss of jets and pilots in the Ukrainian Air Force?
Oh yeah, we have had, I would say, we've had losses. Yes, for sure.
No, and so one of the things that's been talked about a lot is the idea of Poland giving some MiG fighter jets to Ukraine, and that you've been trained on flying those jets. Is that a smart move?
From my perspective, that is a super smart move. That combined with providing us with those SAMs that we also operate, like S-300, etc., would be a great boost for our air defense. we do not have lack of well-trained, highly motivated pilots to fly those jets that could be given to us. And yeah, we have ground crews all trained up to use that. What would have been like the best if somehow we were able to obtain any type of Western jet. I have been to training states. You mentioned that I had the opportunity to fly some Western fighters, and despite the claims Russian have that their jets are superior to Western, that is completely not true. From I'm 100% sure that the tactics, the training that American, any NATO country pilot receive is superior over Russian, as well as their jets. So obtaining a squadron of F-16 would be, I think that will change the situation in my country a lot.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that. So do you think there's enough pilots in the Ukrainian Army, sorry, the Ukrainian Air Force that could pilot F-16s?
Well, you have to understand that normally the process of retraining ground personnel and pilots will take years, but given the situation we are in, I think we will be able to, in case this decision will be made, we will be able to pull this off and get those jets fighting in a matter of a couple of weeks. Really,
that's amazing.
As I mentioned, so I cannot give you any numbers, but right now we have a lot more pilots than the jets, of course.
We're chatting tonight with a pilot in the Ukrainian Air Force. He is coming to us by Zoom from somewhere in Ukraine. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more with Moonfish in just a minute. Stay with us, everybody.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone, to a special edition of the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with a pilot from the Ukrainian Air Force. His name is Moonfish. He is a pilot of MiG-29. He is a squadron commander. He has studied at the Aviation Leadership Program in the United States from 2016 to 2017, and he wants to talk to us to obviously give us a sense of what's going on in the Ukraine. Moonfish, can you just give me a sense? How old are you? How long have you been flying? How did you get into the Air Force?
So being a pilot has been my dream since I was a teenager. Yes, I feel like you see, I'm trying to cover my identity a little bit. So maybe next time I'll tell you my age and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I've been flying for at least 10 years. At the MiG-29, at least 6 years already. It is a fine jet. We know how to use that, and yeah, that's basically it.
Now, so you would have started flying after the separation of the Ukraine from the Soviet Union. Were you trained by Soviet Air Force people or by Ukrainian Air Force people?
So I have actually been born after the collapse of Soviet Union, and yeah, so the flight school, the military flight school that we are operating currently is pretty much Soviet era. Given that I have been at the pilot training in the United States, I've come back and I've been trying to implement that, because as I just mentioned earlier, I think that American pilot school is way better than the one we have, rather than Russian and Soviet era. And we've been doing our best to imply that that experience to our Air Force, especially since we are cooperating with California Air National Guard a lot. They have been at the exercises. We like their body of ours. We know pilots by names, and well,
the California National Guard. Why California National Guard?
I can honestly, I cannot explain why it is a California Air National Guard, but how do they like choose to cooperate with us or something else.
Yeah.
We've been working with those pilots a lot.
Excellent. Now you're getting intelligence information, I understand, from NATO satellite planes, radar planes. Does that come directly to you? Does it come to the Ukrainian Air Force and then come to you? How is that working?
I'm a pilot. I'm a squadron commander. I'm not the C2 guy. I have nothing to say for you about that. And I believe even if we do receive this kind of information, which I have no evidence of personally, just because, I'm not in that position, I believe it is sensitive. It has not to be distributed to pilots, of course.
Right.
But yeah, the C2, of course.
Okay. When you're in the air, is it easy to tell a MiG that is Ukrainian versus a MiG that's Russian?
Well, first of all, they are not using lots of MiGs. Mostly they are Sukhoi 25, 34, Sukhoi 30, 35 fighter jets. They're way bigger, and it was pretty intense in the first couple of days. That is where all those dogfight occurred, most of them, and right now we distance from them a little bit away. It's not that brutal as it was first couple of days, but I don't think that is really a problem to confuse our jet with their jet. Not really.
One of the questions lots of people have asked is there something that the Ukrainian Air Force could be doing better to destroy these convoys of supplies that appear to be coming in from Russia? What are you able to do in that regard?
So to understand the situation right now, it's a little bit more harsh than it was the first day. Yes, our attack aircraft, bomber aircraft, were doing a great job destroying those convoys in the first couple of days. But now that their position do not move a lot day by day, and they were able to pull all this SAMs and all this air defense into their occupied territories, it's not that easy. Our drones, on the other hand, the Bayraktar Turkish-made drones, they're doing an amazing job destroying those convoys.
Really, that's interesting. So where do the drones take off from?
Even if I saw some of those drones to take off, I wish I didn't know, because they are doing the same as we do. They are doing their best to keep those drones safe, right, and to keep the state safe. So with that being said, I have no idea where they operate from, but they're pretty capable. They are really long range. They can easily be operated from any point in Ukraine.
How long range?
I've heard that. I'm not sure. I think they can stay airborne for up to 24 hours. So
really, that's amazing. And you've also been using a lot of missiles, I understand.
Yes.
And that's ground to air or what?
Oh, we've shot a lot of missiles, air to air, ground to air, a lot.
And how many jets? How many planes from the Russian Air Force do you think you've been able to down? Any idea?
I think the number that our chief of staff is given, like our armed force commander is given, which is around at this point around 100 jets and like 120 helicopters, maybe more. It looks pretty reasonable, at least to me.
Really? Now, has Ukraine Air Force gone into Russian airspace at all?
Not that I can recall personally.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think we need to do now?
Like I've said earlier, some jets and some SAMs would be really great for us. We do not have control over certain parts of Ukrainian airspace, and that is where all this harsh and horrible bombardment of civilians is happening. On top of that, seeing that this hesitation or lack of political will to give us those jets or SAMs is really, it does look really disappointing to us.
Mm-hmm. So you think that the West should be doing more, both in jets and in SAMs?
For sure.
Obviously, the risk is Putin's threat of initiating a nuclear attack. How do you feel about that?
Well, we do talk a lot about that. That is obviously threat. But given if you assume that they will never use that, the vast majority of their ground forces and of their air forces are now concentrated in Ukraine. If you yeah, it is a risk, but if you presume that they will not use nuclear weapons, there is nothing really, there's no actual limit to start helping Ukraine, because most of their forces are already here, like most capable forces.
So some people have commented that if Ukraine falls, Georgia, Moldova would be next. What do you think?
Well, first of all, we will not fall. We shall not fall. To me, the worst case scenario is that they will keep those territories that they have already taken. And yes, if we will not survive, if we will not win this war, at some point they will, I'm 100% sure, if this Putin's regime will not fall, they will go to Georgia, they will go to Poland. Like their politics, their media, they're already discussing, they're showing these big maps and with arrows on how they will capture those Baltic states. And we all feel this thought is actually boosting our morale, that we are being at the front line of the, like, all the Western world, all the light.
The front line of a fight between Russia and democracy, I guess, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm saying.
So I'm not sure if you know much of military history. I've met a lot of people like you that are incredible students of military history. Some people have suggested that World War III started in 2008 when Putin attacked Georgia, or in 2014 when he invaded the eastern parts of Ukraine and took over Crimea, and they compare that to Czechoslovakia and Austria in the 1930s and Hitler's moves there. And then they say that that the invasion of Ukraine is like the invasion on September the 1st, 1939, 39, I apologize, into Poland. And so that if we knew what was going to happen in the subsequent 5 years, we would have attacked far more. We would have participated. The West would have participated in the attack on Poland and tried to driven Hitler out of Poland. Is there any kind of analogy there that that Ukraine today is like Poland in 1939?
Well, that's where I am, and all my fellow pilots and all the militaries I know we stand at. So it is just like that. If we won't stop him now, who knows what will happen next?
You're doing an incredible job under unbelievable circumstances that no one ever dreamt, at least I never dreamt, would happen again in our lifetimes. Why do you think this has happened? No one thought we'd have another war in Europe. Why is this happening?
It is all about the propaganda and the policy that Russia has been doing in its country, especially before 2014, when annexation of Crimea and war at Donbass happened. We were in much closer ties with Russia, and from their media we always heard that that is not really that Ukraine is not real country, that Russia, that is basically Russia. When I came to States, I always heard like, hey, where are you from? I've said, I'm from Ukraine. Ah, that's Russia, correct? Like America, like regular American would say to me that. And so this man, he comes to power, and he realizes that, hey, it was such an incredible time when the Soviet Union, the Soviet Union time, or Imperial Russia, and he just decided that is his life goal to try to recreate that, even though Ukraine has incredible story. We have a different language, and our fight with Russia have been for hundreds of years, and it is pretty obvious that for Putin and for his regime, taking over the Ukraine is going to be major success. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
But I don't understand how he could ever expect Ukrainian people, if he was successful, to be countrymen after he's destroyed cities, murdered people, starved people, forced somewhere between 3 and 10 million people to be displaced, 3 million to be refugees. How can he ever expect peace?
Well, his regime, which is oligarchy and corrupted regime, I'm almost sure that their top military officials, they were twisting the numbers for him before that invasion, and they were telling him, hey, Ukrainians will meet you with the flowers. They will be glad to, and they will be glad if you invade. And that's what he actually believed in, and that's what he was expecting to happen. They were telling 3 to 4 days and Ukraine will fall, but yeah, they hardly overestimated their own powers and underestimated ours.
How's the morale within the Ukrainian Air Force?
It is. I have not been. It is extremely high. Let's say I have not been. I have not been doing job with higher motivation than I have now, especially since some of my close friends have died, and pilots in my squadron died. We're ready to fight. Doesn't matter for how long.
You must have some sense as well about what the morale must be in the Russian Army and Air Force. If you were told that you were going to be able to take the country in a couple of days and you're there a month, what do you think the morale is like within the Russian Air Force or the Russian Army?
Oh yeah, their morale is pretty low. I'm 100%. I'm 100% sure. What about pilots? We have had some pilots of bombers and fighters. We have captured already, and we interrogated them.
And what's the result of the interrogation?
Yeah, of course. I've seen videos, like they're all on social media. I have never met them.
Right.
But yeah, their morale is pretty low, and I don't know what those pilots are telling them when they clearly have sortie where they have red X. I mean, the target just like downtown Mariupol or where school is at. Like there is no way you don't know that that is clearly civilian building or hospital, and those men, they still fly. They do the sorties. They drop those bombs. Like we're among pilots, Ukrainian pilots, we're discussing like if you were given order like that, any of us, we will just drop the bombs somewhere in the sea or in the field and say, hey, we just missed or something like that. And those I'm having a hard time to name them with like polite word, and they're still doing that. That is absolutely horrific. And we are when we are watching this destruction they're making, it just makes us mad.
So are you saying that if you got orders to bomb a school in a city in Russia that was close to the Ukrainian-Russian border, you wouldn't do it?
Yeah, that is also the question of being in a corrupted country. I'm 100% sure that none of our pilots would agree to do that, but they are afraid they can be sentenced to prison, or maybe they will not get promotion or something. I don't know, and they still do that. What are those people doing? Those pilots.
Are you? Do you think you're getting a reasonable amount of information about what actually is happening in Kharkiv and Mariupol and Kiev?
I think we do. Like I speak English. I can also watch some. I'm able to read some information from other countries, not only from Ukraine. I think that the information we're getting is pretty accurate.
Amazing what you and the Ukrainian Army and Air Force and what are the local organizations called that are sort of independent forces?
They're territorial defense. That's what they called.
Territorial defense. It's amazing what they've been able to do. I've seen pictures of Molotov cocktails and tank barriers and things like that. I got to tell you, I think you've been inspiring the world. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more with pilot Moonfish, a squadron commander and a MiG-29 pilot in just a minute. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. It's amazing. We've been able to connect up via Zoom to pilot Moonfish. He's a squadron commander in the Ukrainian Air Force. He flies a MiG-29 jet. He's studied at the Aviation Leadership program in the United States from 2016 to 2017. He's been in the Air Force for a while. He doesn't want to tell us exactly for how long, but he grew up having a dream as a young boy of being a pilot. Probably you never thought you'd actually be fighting in a war, but I guess that's what you sort of trained to do. And so congratulations and thank you for the role that you're playing. Tell me about a typical day. What would be a typical day? Do you wake up early and wait for orders, or are you flying at night? Tell me what a typical day is.
If you're not like we split the flight duty for like daylight hours and night hours, so that somebody can rest. And if let's say if my duty time is in the morning, I usually wake up 3-4 a.m. Because we have like sirens when we go to shelter. Because as far as I understand, we get those warnings a lot because it is really hard to tell where this cruise missile will fly to. I think our C2 knows exactly when and where it was launched, but the site of where it will fall is really uncertain, and it is hard to estimate. So like all of us, we do know that airfields are their #1 target, and usually they attack like in early morning hours, and every other night we have to wake up early, gear up, take our AKs, and we go outside and take a shelter. And then we go flying, we go duty, and we're just reacting to the threats that are possibly coming to us in our area of responsibility.
Are you flying every day?
I personally have not been flying for a couple of days, but usually yes, every day or almost every day, and every flight is a like combat flight. It is really weird.
Every flight is a combat flight.
Yeah, like and anytime you go airborne, it is we have we have this master arm switch, and every other fighter jet in the world, where you either keep it on or off for your armament, just for safety. And we usually, when we were doing training like air-to-air launches, we keep it off almost all the time, and during routine sorties. But now I already have this habit, and all of us like gear up and master arm switch on. We are ready to deploy at any time our weapons.
How do you deal with the stress?
We'll just try to take a rest whenever time you can. Even if you're if it's your watch, just lie down and sleep. Yeah, I started to smoke.
Started to smoke. In a MiG-29, how many people are on board?
Oh, it's single jet, single seat jet.
Single seat. So just yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you flown other planes?
I have flown other than MiG-29s. They're training aircraft. They're two-seat usually.
And what do you prefer?
Single seat or double? Okay, yeah, single seat is. I do prefer single seat.
Why?
Like that is just the way. I would say, like, if you ask the same question in for the US pilot, they will tell you the same. Once you have gotten used to flying only by yourself, it is way more, I'll say, enjoyable to stay yourself. I do like, and like any other pilot, enjoy flying in formations when you can see your like your bodies or your wing, and yeah, that's what I prefer. Single seat is my choice.
So I think lots of people have watched the movie Top Gun. Was your training anything like that?
Kind of. Not at first, of course. And I've been doing some, me personally, work within Ukrainian Air Force to make our training flights, our air-to-air engagements more look like the Top Gun flights, where you do the dogfighting a lot, and the dogfighting is way more realistic. But it's a little bit, way more boring than that. That's what I would say.
Have you been in a dogfight?
No, I personally not.
What do you think of the training of the Russian pilots that you've seen?
I think their training, their preparedness for the dogfight is very overestimated, especially now that I've been at the pilot training in States. I am like 100% sure of that.
So you think your training in the Ukrainian Air Force, or yours personally, because you went to the aviation training in the United States, is better than the Russians are getting?
No, not only. You see those problems they have, the really much higher bureaucracy than we have, and much higher corruption than we have. It affects training as well. It is weird, but it is true. So they're jinking numbers all the time. And of course, that does not affect their training.
How does corruption? How does corruption affect training?
Oh, so commanders are twisting numbers. Let's say, they have to report to their superior commander about like their monthly training or something, and they report numbers that are have not been achieved. That's it. And of course, now that those numbers are being reported and documented, and still those pilots did not achieve those training goals they were supposed to. And from those encounters, like dogfight and air-to-air encounters that we had at the very first couple of days of war, I would say that yes, our pilots are way better prepared for a dogfight.
Your president has been an inspiration around the world. What do you think of him and the job he's been doing?
I think he's doing a great job. He's inspiration to all of us as well.
The line that he used about, I don't need a rat, I need ammunition, is sort of one of those lines that I think will go down in history. What can he do? What more can he do right now?
Like me personally as a pilot?
No, you're a president. What do you wish he would do?
What he can do, when the war broke, he's become not my president, by my senior military commander, and I have no right to, especially right now, to criticize any of his decision, especially since I have nothing to criticize about. I think that actions that were taken are the best, are the best they could possibly do.
One of the rules or laws that's been put in place is that any male between a certain age cannot leave the country, has to stay. So you effectively become conscripted to join the fight. Is that a good rule or a bad rule?
Well, we're dealing with a really huge military force right now, and this war is about surviving us as a country. And like in every country, there are people who are willing to fight, who are willing to defend their land, and who are doing, they're just doing all the best. And there are people who are trying to escape. Even those people are actually obligated to take the rifle and go fight. And I'd say that at least said, I don't want this, me personally, I don't want these people who are trying to escape, whose legal age telling them to, and maybe their training is telling them to go fight, and they are trying to escape that country. I don't want any of those to ever become like any politician or something like that. So all of our, like my buddies, think that is a right decision to do.
There's been a lot of talk about a no-fly zone. Your president has repeatedly asked the West to create a no-fly zone above Ukraine. Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, there's been a lot of talks about this no-fly zone, especially in the civilian environment. It sounds probably like a really good thing, right? But to provide that no-fly zone, you have to use some instruments, right? Like some kind of air defense, and that would mean like direct conflict with NATO and Russia, two nuclear capable powers. So I do understand why no-fly zone is not an option, and I do understand why this was such a big thing in our society. Like, hey, there was a time, I believe in Israel or something, or maybe I think I'm right, that NATO provided the no-fly zone over Israel. Why they won't do that for us? But the situation right now is really different.
So jets and surface to air missiles and cruise missiles and drones. What else do you think the West should be doing?
Well, so far, that West provided us with huge amount of anti-tank missiles, javelins, Anlos. It is really hard to underestimate their role in this war. From my perspective as a fighter pilot, I think if we will be able to grasp our air defense more effectively, that would create much better condition for our ground forces to counterattack and take back those territories, or at least do not allow Russians to move any further.
And how do you do that?
Um, well, it is typical stuff. So our attack
equipment.
aircraft,
Just more
our
equipment?
attack, yes, more equipment, more jets would be great. We do have, even though it not seem to be that intense as it was first couple of days, first week. We do losing jets every day, like, or almost every day. So to replenish those jets, as I said, we have plenty of pilots. We are trained to fly those jets, and our SAM guys know how to operate those surface-to-air missiles that are being that, at least there are talks on the social media about. And I think the ultimate tool for us to keep that air superiority in Ukraine would be obtaining any Western jet, like at least on 1 or 2 squadrons.
How are these munitions, these javelins, these surface-to-air missiles, the drones actually getting to Ukraine? Are there NATO planes landing in your airports?
Oh, Ukraine is a no-fly zone right now. So I have not seen personally any NATO jet landing on our territory since war started. So I have no idea how that is happening.
The javelins, tell me a little bit about them. They're something that is launched from a land position.
Oh yeah, those are portable anti-tank missile launcher. They're launch and forget. I have not used that. I've just seen videos and had somebody to talk with me about that. They are extremely effective against any Russian armored vehicles.
And what's the distance that they travel?
Oh, I think they like 2 or 3 kilometers. I don't know for sure. I'm not infantry man. So
and any idea how they're designed to locate the target? Is it a GPS?
I think they are using the heat signature, like infrared signature of the vehicle that is moving. Once it locks, all the operator has to do is to press the button and launch.
And you're saying they're very effective?
They are very effective indeed.
And what does it do? Does it destroy the tank or just disable it?
It usually does destroy the tank. Like from those videos I've seen, and from like stories I've heard from some army guys, usually the javelin hit ignites blows up all the munition that it is inside of the tank. And if you've seen the videos with the turret blown away from the Russian tank, that's probably javelin.
Really? Okay. And the cruise missiles, where are they launched from? From airports?
They launch cruise missile, all the range of cruise missiles they have. So I've heard that the very first strike at my home airfield and neighboring airfield was made out of a ship, the Caliber missile that they are being launched from the ship, but they have used cruise missile that are launched from the ground and from the air. And what is interesting though, that they have started to use those air launchers after a couple of like 2 weeks into war, because that is saying that they were not ready that this war would last that long. So I would say that they're launching them out of strategic bombers. They have launched the hypersonic missile once, at least once that I know of, and that is saying that they pretty much have used all the armament they have, and those missile attacks are getting they're not that intense over time, and that is saying that they're just running out of them.
You know, it's amazing. No one, I can't believe, I never thought, I don't know if anyone ever thought we'd be in this situation, but you are doing admirable work for democracy for Ukraine. you've got some listeners in Toronto listening to you right now in Canada. What message do you have, if any, for them?
Well, with knowing that those are civilian people, if you can, just please give our country support, any kind of support you can, so that we can stand and win this horrible war. And for the sake of all democracies over the world, and for the sake of all for the sake of destroying all everything evil that is in this world.
Destroying everything that's evil. Moonfish, a squadron commander in the Ukrainian Air Force, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Please stay safe, and if you get a chance in a week or so, check back in with us.
Cool. Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Safe flying and good hunting. Get some Russian jets for us, okay?
Okay, I'll do my best.
Thank you. We're going to take a break and come back with some concluding comments in just a minute. Stay with us, everybody.